The night the ocean roared louder than his own heartbeat, Aarav stood alone on a foreign shore, clutching a folded marriage certificate in his trembling hands, wondering how love could feel so powerful and yet so frightening at the same time. Just a year ago, he was an ordinary Indian boy from a small town where dreams were measured carefully and borders felt permanent. Now he was married to an American girl, standing between two worlds, two cultures, and a future that demanded more courage than he had ever known. This was not a fairy tale that began with comfort. It began with fear, sacrifice, and a love that refused to stay within boundaries. Before the story pulls you deeper, take a moment. If you believe in kindness, second chances, and love that rises above borders, please like this video, share it with someone who needs hope. Comment your thoughts, and subscribe to the channel Love Beyond Borders to support stories that remind us what it means to be human. Aarav grew up in a modest neighborhood where mornings began with temple bells and evenings ended with family dinners on the floor. His father ran a small stationery shop, and his mother stitched clothes late into the night to help pay school fees. Life was simple, predictable, and deeply rooted in tradition. Aarav learned early that responsibility came before desire, and dreams were allowed only if they did not disrupt the balance of family honor. He was intelligent, hardworking, and quietly ambitious, but like many boys around him, he believed his life path had already been drawn by invisible hands long before he could question it. Everything changed the day he won a scholarship to study information technology in the United States. The joy of achievement was quickly shadowed by fear. Fear of leaving his parents, fear of the unknown, fear of becoming someone unrecognizable to his own people. The farewell at the airport was heavy with unspoken prayers and silent tears. His mother's eyes carried both pride and worry, while his father's firm hug felt like an attempt to anchor him to home even as he boarded the plane. Aarav promised himself he would return, successful but unchanged, loyal to his roots. America overwhelmed him in ways he had never imagined. The streets were wider, the voices louder, and the pace relentless. He struggled with accents, cultural differences, and a loneliness that crept in every night after classes ended. It was during one such lonely phase that he met Emily, an American girl with an unassuming smile and eyes that noticed details others ignored. She volunteered at the university library, and their interactions began with shared academic interests and casual conversations that slowly grew into something deeper. Emily came from a world entirely different from Aarav's. She was raised to speak her mind, to question norms, and to believe that love was a choice, not an arrangement. Yet beneath her confidence was her own vulnerability. She had grown up watching her parents' marriage fall apart, leaving her skeptical of promises but hungry for sincerity. Aarav's quiet strength, his respect for family, and his grounded nature drew her in, even as she sensed the invisible walls around his heart. As months passed, their bond deepened into love that felt both exhilarating and terrifying. Aarav found himself torn between the joy Emily brought into his life and the weight of expectations waiting for him back home. He knew that loving her was not just a personal decision. It was a challenge to traditions that defined his identity. Emily, too, faced doubts from friends who questioned whether love could survive such vast cultural differences. Still, they held on to each other, believing that understanding could bridge any gap. The real struggle began when Aarav told his parents about Emily. The phone call that followed was heavy with silence, disappointment, and disbelief. His mother cried softly, fearing society's judgment, while his father spoke of responsibilities, lineage, and the sacrifices already made. Aarav felt crushed under the guilt of causing them pain, yet the thought of losing Emily felt equally unbearable. Nights became battlegrounds of conscience, where love and duty fought relentlessly within him. Emily witnessed his turmoil and began to question her place in his life. She feared being the reason he drifted away from his family, yet she could not deny her love for him. Their relationship was no longer just about feelings, it was about endurance. Aarav worked multiple jobs to support himself, navigated visa uncertainties, and carried emotional burdens that left him exhausted. There were moments when he wondered if love was worth such suffering, and moments when Emily wondered if she should let him go for his own peace. What changed everything was an unexpected visit. Emily decided to travel to India with Aarav, not as a challenge to his family, but as an attempt to understand them. The small town that once felt confining to Aarav now appeared through Emily's eyes as warm, colorful, and deeply connected. She observed his parents' simplicity, their love for him, and the quiet dignity with which they lived. She made efforts to learn customs, helped his mother in the kitchen, and listened more than she spoke. Slowly, resistance softened into curiosity. Aarav's parents saw something they had not expected: respect, humility, and genuine care. Emily did not try to replace their culture, she tried to honor it. Though acceptance did not come instantly, the seeds of understanding were planted. The turning point came when Aarav's father fell ill, and Emily stayed by the family's side, caring for him with unwavering patience. In her actions, they saw not a foreign threat, but a partner who loved their son deeply and selflessly. When Aarav and Emily finally married, it was not a grand celebration, but it was profound. It symbolized countless compromises, sleepless nights, and battles fought quietly within hearts. Their marriage was not the end of struggle. It was the beginning of a new journey where love demanded daily effort. They faced visa issues, financial stress, cultural misunderstandings, and moments of doubt. Yet each challenge strengthened their bond, reminding them that love beyond borders was not effortless, it was earned. Years later, Aarav stood once again on a shoreline, this time with Emily beside him, watching the waves crash and retreat endlessly. He realized that life had not turned out as planned, but it had become richer, deeper, and more meaningful. He had not abandoned his roots, he had expanded them. Emily had not erased his identity, she had embraced it. Together they created a life that carried pieces of both worlds. If this story touched your heart, if it reminded you that love requires courage and kindness, please take a moment to like this video, share it with someone who believes in humanity, and subscribe to Love Beyond Borders. Your support keeps these stories alive. Before the ending, we have one special request for you. Please comment below with the words "Love has no borders" if you believe that true connection is stronger than culture, distance, or fear. As the sun dipped below the horizon, Aarav understood that love was not about choosing one world over another, but about building a bridge between them. His journey taught him that the bravest thing a person can do is to love honestly, even when the path is uncertain. And somewhere between India and America, between tradition and freedom, two hearts prove that love beyond borders is not just possible, it is transformative.